What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and we are back with episode 4 of the Twitter Files. I told y'all last time all of that was supposed to be in one episode, but that was long. we had to split some things up, but let's go ahead and hop straight into it. So this time it's coming from Michael Schellenberger, and it says Twitter Files Part 4: The removal of Donald Trump, January 7th. As the pressure builds, Twitter executives build the case for a permanent ban. On January 7th, senior Twitter execs create justifications to ban Trump, seek a change of policy for Trump alone, distinct from other political leaders, express no concern for the free speech or democracy implications of a ban. This Twitter Files is reported with Elwood House. I better not have to go to another page. Hold on. We're going to check real quick. All right. It don't look like it. For those catching up, please see Part 1, where Matt Taibbi documents how senior Twitter executives violated their own policies to prevent the spread of accurate information about Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh, he's just going through all the parts right now. So Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Oh, that's right here on my channel. For years, Twitter had resisted calls to ban Trump. Blocking a world leader from Twitter, it wrote in 2018, will hide important info and hamper necessary discussion around their words and actions. So as you can see, it says it right here, the Twitter public policy, which we all know is BS at this point, right? But after the events of Jan 6, the internal and external pressure on Twitter's CEO Jack grows. Former First Lady Michelle Obama, tech journalist Kara Swisher, the ADL, high-tech VC Chris Sacca, and many others publicly call on Twitter to permanently ban Trump. And these are the pictures to go for all of that. So Chris says, "You've got blood on your hands, Jack and Zuck. For 4 years, you've rationalized this terror. Inciting violent treason is not a free speech exercise. If you work at those companies, it's on you too. Shut it down." I'm sorry, blood on your hands? What happened January 6th where blood was on their hands? If I can remember correctly, only one person died. And it was a Trump supporter. Nobody else died. What? This is from former First Lady Michelle Obama. And she has this highlighted. "Now's the time for Silicon Valley companies to stop enabling this monstrous behavior and go even further than they have already by permanently banning this man from their platforms and putting in place policies to prevent their technology from being used by the nation's leaders to fuel insurrection." First off, you as the former First Lady, I'm pretty sure you already knew when you and your husband was up in there of working with the tech companies, FBI and stuff. Because I'm pretty sure, let's be for real. Let's be for real for like 1 second. This ain't new. This ain't the first time they did this just because Trump is in there. They probably done talked to Obama and them before. So you can't tell me this is new. Like, alright. She gotta play the role, I guess. It's time for social media platforms to permanently ban Trump. This is from the Intelligencer. Oh, this the head of the ADO. Yo, he has a crazy interview out with the Breakfast Club. This has nothing to do with any of this. But Charlemagne brought up Kanye. And he was like, "Don't you think by doing all this to Kanye, you are proving him right?" And the wordage and speech that he used was like, "We have to get him," and this and that. It was the way he said things where it's like, bruh, you sound like everything Kanye talking about. Right? This is not a good look for you as far as an interview. It's like an hour long. I still have to watch all of it, but what I have seen so far from clips, he sounds crazy. But you know, let me watch it first before I pull up in there. But 2 bare minimum tweets after the Capitol has been stormed by extremists is too little, too late. Jack, it's overdue to suspend real Donald Trump until his account stops promoting disinformation and inciting violence. But he asked people to be peaceful. He never asked for violence, which they did. Nobody was violent. Them people even held the door open for all them people to walk into the Capitol, which was crazy. I thought that was the craziest thing when I saw the videos. Only one person got popped, and it was a MAGA supporter. Look, and it says it right here. "I'm asking for everyone at the Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. And then there's an ADL statement on violence at the Capitol building. There was none. Alright, that's the left for you. That is the left for you. Dorsey was on vacation in French Polynesia the week of January 4th to the 8th. He phoned into meetings, but also delegated much of the handling of the situation to senior execs. YOLO, so that's Yoel Roth, yeah. Twitter's global head of trust and safety, and Vijaya, head of legal, policy, and trust. As context, it's important to understand that Twitter staff and senior execs were overwhelmingly progressive. In 2018, 2020, and 2022, 96%, 98%, and 99% of Twitter staff political donations went to Democrats. I'm not shocked about how they talk and act. I'm not shocked. And I was just about to say, we saw this in part 1 of the Twitter files. In 2017, Roth tweeted that there were actual Nazis in the White House. They throw that term around so loosely, bro. You know what Nazis did back in Germany versus to like people just parading around the Capitol not doing nothing? In April of 2022, Roth told a colleague that his goal is to drive change in the world, which is why he decided not to become an academic. You a whole pedo, my guy. We know what type of change you was trying to put into play. Yes, that person at PCAT is clearly a bigger threat to your brand of feminism than actual Nazis in the White House. Yeah, academia is by far the most abusive working environment I've ever been in. Huh. The entire system is exploitative in a ton of ways and also not necessarily productive if your goal is to drive change in the world, which is the main reason I left. Okay, y'all. Whatever you say, buddy. On January 7th, Jack emails employees saying Twitter needs to remain consistent in its policies, including the right of users to return to Twitter after a temporary suspension. After, Roth reassures an employee that people who care about this aren't happy with where we are. Jack's emails have been fine, but ultimately I think people want to hear from Vijaya or Dell or someone closer to the specifics of this who can reassure them that people who care about this are thinking deeply about these problems and aren't happy with where we are. A few engineers have reached out to me directly about it, and I'm chatting with them, but it's clear they just want to know that someone is doing something about this. And it's not that we're ignoring the issues here. So here's my thing. Jack the CEO, and he done already put his stuff out. And you're like, it's fine, but you need to hear from people that aren't the owner or the CEO or whatever. It's like, no. I think there's an opportunity to help people understand that while it seems obvious and simple that we should permaban his personal account, we can't afford to take that immediate action without first playing the movie out and anticipating all the other things that can happen and then figure out the plans for those possible scenarios. E.g., if we suspend the personal account and he posts the same thing on the official government account, do we suspend that too? People can be forgiven for not thinking beyond the thing that's immediately in front of them. But Jack, Vijaya, Dell, you don't have the luxury of just pulling the trigger without thinking things through. We tell them repeatedly that people are on it, and people are working on it, and they're scratching their heads wondering, how hard can it be to decide if this single account is in violation? Around 11:30 a.m. PT, Roth DMs his colleagues with news that he's excited to share. Guess what, he writes, Jack just approved repeat offender for civic integrity. The new approach will create a system where 5 violation strikes will result in permanent suspension. Guess what? Jack just approved repeat offender for civic integrity. Directional approach would be something like labels, which are severe enough to result in disabled engagements in current strikes. Strike 1, label only. Strike 2, label only. Strike 3, label plus 12-hour timeout. Strike 4, label plus 7-day timeout. Strike 5, perm suspension. He was too excited about that. Progress, exclaims a member of Roth's trust and safety team. The exchange between Roth and his colleagues makes clear that they had been pushing Jack for greater restrictions on the speech Twitter allows around elections. The colleague wants to know if the decision means Trump can finally be banned. The person asks, does the incitement to violence aspect change that calculus? Roth says it doesn't. Trump continues to just have his one strike remaining. Look, they so happy about it. Progress! Does this affect our approach to Trump, who I think that we publicly said had one remaining strike? Or does the incitement to violence aspect change that calculus? Trump continues to just have his one strike. This is for everything else. Ross Colley's query about incitement to violence heavily foreshadows what will happen the following day. On January 8th, Twitter announces a permanent ban on Trump due to the risk of further incitement to violence. And as you guys can see, it's highlighted right there. On January 8th, Twitter says its ban is based on specifically how Trump's tweets are being received and interpreted. But in 2019, Twitter said it did not attempt to determine all potential interpretations of the content or its intent. After close review of recent tweets from Real Donald Trump account and the context around them, specifically how they are being received and interpreted on and off Twitter. Then you go here, it says, we focus on the language of reported tweets and do not attempt to determine all potential interpretations of the content or its intent. Yeah, but that was 2019. You know, so different from 2021. The only serious concern we found expressed within Twitter over the implications for free speech and democracy of banning Trump came from a junior person in the organization. It was tucked away in a lower level Slack channel known as Site Integrity Auto. This might be an unpopular opinion, but one-off ad hoc decisions like this that don't appear rooted in policy are, in my honest opinion, a slippery slope and reflect an alternatively equally dictatorial problem. This now appears to be a fiat by an online platform CEO with a global presence that can gatekeep speech for the entire world, which seems unsustainable. I wonder who this employee was, and if they're even still around. And then this says the same thing we just read. Twitter employees use the term one-off frequently in their Slack discussions. Its frequent use reveals significant employee discretion over when and whether to apply warning labels on tweets and strikes on users. Here are typical examples. Account for review. USA secession. We are trying to understand the one-off decision here. And then over here, there's always abuse one-off. Bounce one-off is the option. Okay, so that's just showing how they use the term. Recall from Twitter Files 2 by Barry Weiss that according to Twitter staff, we control visibility quite a bit and we control the application of your content quite a bit, and normal people do not know how much we do. I remember that. Pepperidge Farms remembers. Twitter employees recognize the difference between their own politics and Twitter's term of service, but they also engage in complex interpretations of content in order to stamp out prohibited tweets as a series of exchanges over the Stop the Steal hashtag reveal. Hey, hope you're doing okay and we're able to get some sleep. Can we, or have we already discussed blocking the Stop the Steal hashtag? It's furthering fake news in a dangerous way from what I can tell. Hey there, we're proactively surfacing that content from her review under civic integrity, and it should be blocked from Type Ahead and Trends. If you're seeing it in either of the latter two, let me know ASAP and PT can fix. Fake news to y'all, or serious fake news? Because I think it's just fake news to y'all because y'all just don't agree with all of it. I just saw the hashtag and then did a search on it. All the content was appalling. So I don't think it's showing up elsewhere. Thank you for all you're doing. I'll flag to the election squad. Remember that what I find appalling, what is the term of service bio, are not in exact overlap. Heh. So they say telling you right there. I may not like it. It ain't breaking no codes, but I may not like it. So do what you will. Bruh. Roth immediately DMs a colleague to ask what they add Stop the Steal and QAnon conspiracy term crack into a blacklist of terms to be de-amplified. Roth's colleague objects that blacklisting Stop the Steal risks de-amplifying counter speech that validates the election. No, there's a lot going on. Any objections to adding Stop the Steal and crack into the CHAQ term list if they aren't there already? The daylight separating Q and the Stop the Steal stuff now is effectively zero. Crack it for sure if it's not already there. I'm too worried about the risk of de-amplifying counter speech with Stop the Steal. Eck. Bruh, they crazy. Indeed, notes Roth's colleague, a quick search of Stop the Steal tweets in their counter speech, but they quickly come up with a solution. De-amplify accounts with Stop the Steal in the name/profile since those are not affiliated with counter speech. Look at this. Yeah, just a quick search of top Stop the Steal tweets in their counter speech. Kraken, I'm comfortable with. Top tweets are generally Q related, and I'm noticing an absence of counter speech. It's also super common on profiles. Actually, we can de-amplify accounts with stop the steal in the name/profile level. Those are not affiliated with counter speech. So just if it's in your name or profile, you automatically got de-amplified. You could have been talking about anything, and you could have just put that in your profile because you agreed with it, and they de-amplified you. That's crazy. But it turns out that even blacklisting Kraken is less straightforward than they thought. That's because Kraken, in addition to being a QAnon conspiracy theory based on the mythical Norwegian sea monster, is also the name of a cryptocurrency exchange and was thus allowed listed. Ha! That's what y'all get. Also, I think adding Kraken to the various spots may have broken something. Oh, guys, I removed Kraken the other day, FYI. It did break something. There's an app called Kraken app or something. If we allow list that, no concerns about putting it back, but we want to see if there are other FPs. The brand Kraken account is allow listed, FWIW. Yeah, it's a crypto exchange. Look at y'all. Trying to ban everything and mess around and ruin somebody's business for a second. Employees struggle with whether to punish users who share screenshots of Trump's deleted J6 tweets. We should bounce these tweets with a strike, given the screenshot violates the policy. They are criticizing Trump, so I am a bit hesitant with applying strike to this user. So you will get rid of Trump for saying it, but if they share the screenshot making fun of Trump, you want to keep it. Okay. Look at this. And the person says, F off, oh my gosh, even Twitter says it's inciting violence. Look at this person. They are commending and criticizing Trump, so I am a bit hesitant with applying strike to this user. Wow. This person could have been praising Biden, and they would have been like, yeah, that's good. That's good. We're not going to strike them. That's crazy. What if a user dislikes Trump and objects to Twitter censorship? The tweet still gets deleted. But since the intention is not to deny the election result, no punishing strike is applied. If there are instances where the intent is unclear, please feel free to raise. And then another person, it says, I don't even like the man, but I'm not going to put up with Twitter deleting opinions they don't like. Thank you. You see that person? They have a brain. I am in agreement. One-off works for commentary. Strike if a tweet is agreeing with tweet's views. What if it's neutral / sharing opinion like told you it violates Twitter policy? Tweet delete only? I would agree with tweet delete only on agreeing with the policy. Can I get your opinion here? Would agree on delete only instances where the content is not shared with abusive intent. Thanks everyone. There are instances where the intent is unclear. Please feel free to raise. That's wild. That is wild. Around noon, a confused senior executive in advertising sales sends a DM to Roth, the sales exec. Jack says, we will permanently suspend Trump if our policies are violated after a 12-hour account lock. What policies is Jack talking about? Roth, any policy. What? Hey y'all, I have a question regarding Twitter safety thread. Read POTUS in Jack's email. Jack says we will permanently suspend if our policies are violated after a 12-hour account lock. What policies is Jack talking about? Is spreading misinfo a violation like his past tweets about the election? Or is it more about a tweet inciting violence? I'm asking because we are getting tons of calls from clients following the Facebook IG decision, so some clarity would be great. Thanks. Hey JP, for internal awareness, this would be any policy violation, not just limited to elections, but before sharing anything, please coordinate with Blank on the comm side. Obviously a ton of interest in our position on this. Want to ensure we stay aligned. What happens next is essential to understanding how Twitter justified banning Trump. Are we dropping the public interest policy now? We're off 6 hours later. In this specific case, we're changing our public interest approach for his account. Thanks, Joel. We'll connect with comms team for sure. One last question. In the past, we exempted policy violation from a world leader due to the public interest value. Are we dropping the public interest now and any new violation could be a trigger? For me to understand, again, we'll check with comms regarding what we can and cannot share publicly. Apologies for the slow reply. I've been back to back all day today. In this specific case, we're changing our public interest approach for his account to say any violation will result in suspension. We aren't completely getting rid of the public interest approach, though we do have work planned on revisions in H1 2021. The ad exec is referring to Twitter's policy of public interest exceptions, which allows the content of elected officials, even if it violates Twitter rules, if it directly contributes to understanding or discussion of a matter of public concern. So it says, at present, we limit exceptions to one critical type of public interest content: tweets from elected and government officials, given the significant public interest in knowing and being able to discuss their actions and statements. Roth pushes for a permanent suspension of Representative Matt Gaetz, even though it doesn't quite fit anywhere. Duh. It's a kind of test case for the rationale for banning Trump. I'm trying to talk to Twitter's safety team into removal as a conspiracy that incites violence. What? What's latest on Antifa claims? Anything brewing policy-wise? C is yelling from the other room that we should just ban Gaetz. Yeah, SP and SI are working on that. It doesn't quite fit anywhere. Duh. Right. But I'm trying to talk safety into treating it as incitement. I think we'll get over the line for removal as a conspiracy that incites violence. Vijaya was directionally okay with it. I bet she was. Around 2:30, comms execs DM Roth to say they don't want to make a big deal of the QAnon bans in the media because they fear if we push this, it looks we're trying to offer up something in place of the thing everyone wants, meaning a Trump ban. So we're good either way, we'll discuss, but I'm generally in the space of let's start taking action and not do a big comms push around this. We can explain why if we're asked, but worry if we push this, it looks we're trying to offer up something in place of the thing everyone wants, and Yoel just says, yep. And that looks like it's it? That is not it. We're still going. That evening, a Twitter engineer DMs to Roth to say, I feel a lot of debates around exceptions stem from the fact that Trump's account is not technically different from anybody else, and yet treated differently due to his personal status without corresponding Twitter rules. Hi, y'all. I'm sure you are very busy right now. My apologies for this distraction to your work. I wonder if there's been discussion about reshaping the rules around official accounts and other accounts, or an unverified account. I feel a lot of debates around exceptions stem from the fact that Trump's account is not technically different from anybody else's, and yet treated differently due to his personal status without corresponding Twitter rules to clarify the responsibilities that should come with that status. Roth's response hints at how Twitter would justify deviating from its long-standing policy. To put a different spin on it, policy is one part of the system of how Twitter works. We ran into the world changing faster than we were able to either adapt the product or the policy. I think you're spot on. To put a different spin on it, policy is one part of the system of how Twitter works. There are different things you can change when you want to affect different behaviors. Policy and enforcement are one. The product is another. Partnerships and outreach are another, etc. And all of that is situated in a bigger system, i.e. the world, which influences how everything else operates in practice. When you change one part of the system, you necessarily have to adapt the rest. And I think we ran into the world changing faster than we were able to either adapt the product or the policy, but we can and should do both, not directly. The evening of January 7th, the same junior employee who expressed an unpopular opinion about ad hoc decisions that don't appear rooted in policy speaks up one last time before the end of the day. Oh, so this is the guy that was like, hey guys, I'm the unpopular opinion. Earlier that day, the employee wrote, my concern is specifically surrounding the unarticulated logic of the decision of Facebook. Oh, by Facebook. That space fills with the idea, conspiracy theory, that all internet moguls sit around like kings casually deciding what people can and cannot see. And he says it here. And then it says, and it's unhelpful to the internet ecosystem as a whole. Again, this is in my honest opinion only. So this is the employee with the brain. The employee notes later in the day, and Will Oramus noticed the inconsistency too, linking to an article for 10 at Medium called Facebook Chucked Its Own Rulebook to Ban Trump. The underlying problem, writes Will Oramus, is that the dominant platforms have always been loath to own up to their subjectivity because it highlights the extraordinary, unfettered power they wield over the global public square, and places the responsibility for that power on their own shoulders. So they hide behind an ever-changing rulebook, facts, alternately pointing to it when it's convenient and shoving it under the nearest rug when it's not. Facts. Everything they're saying is facts, and that employee was able to see that. Facebook's suspension of Trump now puts Twitter in an awkward position. If Trump does indeed return to Twitter, the pressure on Twitter will ramp up to find a pretext on which to ban him as well. Indeed. And as Barry Weiss will show tomorrow, that's exactly what happened. /end. Okay. At least they put an end at theirs. He the only one. That's what everybody else needs to start doing. But, okay. That's episode 4. Y'all come back. Because now, she started this 4 hours ago. This better be done. Okay? So I can record it. But we are going to hop into episode 5. So until then, you already know who it is. It's Sang.